Hey, welcome everybody to lesson 3.5, Metabolism 3.5. Last lesson of chapter 3. Next is chapter 4, Modeling Cellular Respiration in an Athlete's Body. Ooh, cool. Trying to imagine how an athlete's body might be different than just the normal person's body and what's going on inside, specifically in regards to cellular respiration. There was a time I may have considered myself to be an athlete, but that was a long time ago. So let's get started with the warm-up. First, as always, here's our question. In the next activity, you'll consider how a normal, healthy body is different from an athlete's body. Make a prediction of how you think they are different. Explain your reasoning. We're making predictions based on some of these molecules that we have been looking at. So let me jump into that and amplify for you. First we have oxygen. And then you're going to select higher than, lower than, the same as, and explain. Always, always, always you are explaining. That's the most important part. So oxygen molecules taken in per breath, oxygen molecules absorbed by the cells, and the highest cellular respiration level. So please pay close attention to the different wording of each of those questions to make sure you're answering them correctly. Do that and come back to me. Next, activity 2, comparing a healthy body to an athlete's body. So a healthy body, what we're talking about here is just a person who is averagely healthy. No kinds of known health conditions, like with Elisa, she was afflicted by diabetes, right? And so that was actually affecting her ability to absorb certain nutrients. Well, now we're talking about just a normal, healthy person, no known conditions, but we're going to compare them to an athlete. An athlete, somebody who possesses superhuman abilities. No, but somebody whose body is conditioned for a high amount of rigorous physical activity. So you and a partner, Mr. Reagan, I don't have a partner. I know, neither do I. Will now look at a data table to compare a healthy body to an athlete's body and discuss the differences you notice. Well, in lesson 3.5, this is activity 2, we have a data table there. There's nothing for you to hand in, even though it has a little hand in button down at the bottom. But I do want you to take a look. Here's our data table right here. What are the differences that you are noticing between a healthy body and an athlete's body? So similar to the simulation that we've been using, the data that we've been collecting, the types of information, types of data that we've been collecting, you will see that represented here. So take a moment, notice the differences, and come back to me. All right, now we get to model this. I love the modeling tool. I think it's such a great way for y'all to show what you're understanding with these concepts. So here's what you're going to be doing. You will now make a model of what is happening in an athlete's body based on what you saw in the data table. Remember the data table we just looked at, and what you discussed with your partner. Remember the partner that you don't have. You will start with a model of a normal human body. So when you click on the data table, it's going to take you to a normal human body. Okay, we see the oxygen, we see the cellular respiration going on, all those things. Well, here's what you're going to change. You're going to change it to what an athlete's body would look like. Okay, what are some of the things? Again, think about the data table. What are some of the things that would change? Would they have the same amount of nutrients coming into the body, whether it's glucose, amino acids, oxygen? Would the same types of things be happening in the cells? Would the same amount of things be going on in the circulatory system? These are all things I want you to consider. And once you make your model, don't forget to press hand in and then come back to me. Next, we got our reading. We're going back to our article about blood doping that we read previously to try to understand and try to focus in, zoom in on what is happening to the molecules like oxygen in an athlete's body and in a blood doping athlete's body. So we're only going to reread certain sections to try to see, okay, how does cellular respiration differ in someone that's blood doping versus somebody who is just a normal athlete, I suppose. So the first part of activity 4, you see we have 3 sections to it down here. You're going to reread the sections called What is Blood Doping and How Blood Doping Works in the Body. And then you're going to answer this question right here. And then you are going to, it says, highlight the following. So there's two things that they want you to go find. Where do you find the answers to these? And go highlight that in the article. Go ahead and do that and then come back to me. For part 2 of activity 4, I know sometimes it gets confusing, all the different layers and levels. You're going to look at this diagram, okay? And what you're going to be doing is you're going to look at the differences between normal blood and doped blood. This is from the article. And you're going to describe right here, activity 2, explain what the diagram shows about how doped blood is different from normal blood. I think there's some obvious differences, but I don't know, maybe my powers of observation are just really, really good. But I'm pretty sure you'll be able to figure out, too, what are the main differences between doped blood and normal blood. Go ahead and answer that question and come back to me. Now, this is interesting right here. There is no model of an athlete who is blood doping in this simulation. We see all sorts of other things, but not blood doping. But you're going to make some predictions about what you might see. So in part 3 of activity 4, you're going to answer these two questions right here. How would the amount of oxygen in the circulatory system be different in an athlete who is blood doping compared to a normal athlete? How would the amount of oxygen absorbed by the cells be different in an athlete who is blood doping compared to a normal athlete? Now, make sure you read these questions carefully and notice the differences, because at first glance, they might appear to be the same question, but they're not. They're not. Make sure you look at exactly what the question is asking and answer accordingly. For activity 5, we get to go back to the modeling tool again. So you will use your predictions about blood doping athlete that you just did in the previous activity to revise the model of the athlete that you created earlier, okay? So your predictions that you just wrote, they should show up in these two boxes right down here, okay? They should populate right there. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna hand in to see a screenshot of your blood doping athlete model below. So take the athlete model, and now you're going to show, well, what would a blood doping athlete look like? What is going on inside their system, okay? So take some time, think about that, revise your model, and upload that picture right there, and then come back to me. Homework time. We got 2 parts for the homework. The first part is in the sim. This is kind of fun. It's like a challenge, right? What you're going to try to do is you're going to try to get the highest possible cellular respiration rate. So what are you going to do? How are you going to change the activity level? What are you going to feed this person? What are all the things that you're going to change about the simulation in order to, again, try to get the highest possible cellular respiration rate? Okay, record everything that you do. Here, let me get there for you. Activity 6. There's going to be a place for you to write it all down. Plan it out, launch it, complete your mission, and then take screenshots. One of the graph view showing the highest level of cellular respiration that you got. Remember, use the graph view for that. And then show what settings you used. Remember, like, what did you feed it? What was the activity level, breathing, all of that, so we can see what exactly you did. So the second part of the homework is the self-assessment, everyone's favorite, okay? Checking your understanding. And I know it says optional, but is it optional? No, it's never optional. So make sure you go through these questions and think about each one of these questions, because this is really some of the basic main things that we're trying to understand for this whole unit. So if there's things that you read through here that you have questions about, hey, it would be really important for you to ask these questions or ask about some of these topics. Send me an email, show up to my office hours, all these things. But again, this is really showing us, hey, this is where we should be. Some of this stuff, hey, maybe, we still need to, gain a little more understanding about, but we should be pretty much there with a lot of this. So read through those questions carefully and be honest with yourself whether or not you do understand. Always write down right here, explain your answer choice above. So if you do understand it, we'll prove it that you understand it by writing something there. If you don't understand it, what I want you to write is just anything that you do understand about the question. Is there a word that you understand, some sort of vocabulary? Whatever you do understand, that's what I want you to write. if you don't fully understand it, okay? So once you do that, you're done, and we'll see you next time.